and seabed.
The Honourable Shane Jones.
Kia ora no tātou. Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. I rise, sir, to support earlier speakers. We will support this piece of legislation, but there's an element that crept into Mr. Flavel's contribution, which suggested that effluent drew a distinction between brown, white, yellow and black people. The reality is that a number of these changes over the years have been egregious, but a number are absolutely necessary. If we are to have civic works, if we are to retain essential services, and all of us in the community are going to be the beneficiaries of it and pay for it, sir, that must not be lost sight of. Now, I actually know quite a bit about the history of the hapu ngā Pōtiki Tamapāhore, the ancestor who moved into that area several generations before my ancestors went through the area. Sir, ngā Pōtiki have been right to remain vigilant. They have been right to challenge both the Crown and subnational levels of government. But, sir, at the end of the day, it is to the benefit of all groups in our community if essential works are to take place. I'm the first to say, sir, that this Takutai Moana seabed and foreshore piece of legislation was certainly the nadir of that particular time, of our contribution as Labour Party politicians in response to a furore that had developed. But we've moved on beyond that, and this legislation, sir, does, fortunately brought forward by Te Ururo Flavel, does endeavour to correct some of the effects of that legislation. But there are two elements to be borne in mind here. There is the importance of ancestral land, there's the importance of balancing the scales of justice, but if you want to live in a modern society, there's the importance of enabling those who were put in power to proceed with the creation and the maintenance of essential services. And I don't think, sir, it's very sensible that we allow those two issues to be mixed up, because there's always going to be a trade-off. But it's good to see, sir, that the Tauranga City Council is working effectively with this group of tangata whenua, a hapu of Ngai Te Rangi, and, sir, it is good to see that they've moved on from the very bleak time when the library was ransacked, when the library, if I recall accurately, was almost burnt down as a consequence, and, sir, I actually attended that particular protest in the 80s by Ngai Tamarawaho, if my memory serves me correctly. A lad from St. Stephen's School by Hugh Sayers, I think was his name, was playing some sort of role there. So it's good to see that Tauranga Moana Council has moved on from those times, but whilst we want to actually support this bill, this is a part of Aotearoa where there is a great deal of growth, where there is a great deal of attractiveness of wanting to live there, so essential services are required. And this is a timely reminder. Let it not fall disproportionately on groups such as Ngā Pōtiki, but I also say to those of us in the Māori community, we've got to take a balanced approach as well, because we are the beneficiaries when civic infrastructure is expanded. Sir, Tauranga Moana has not only got a rich history in terms of Māori, but it's now turning into such a successful port, it eclipses the Port of Auckland. I won't say too much more about that for fear of being seen to have lobbied for the expansion of Marsden Point and the diminution of the ports of Auckland and the restoration of Auckland Port back to the citizens of Auckland, but that's another matter. I seem to remember a famous Labour parliamentarian, Mr. Mallard, wanting to improve the quality at that time. But, sir, I presume, sir, that's a signal for one more minute, and it's not what I fear it could be. So, sir, we will support this bill. It's an important area of Aotearoa, but two things to be borne in mind. Sure, be sensitive to those concerns of ancestral land claims, etc., but bear in mind, no city, no country, no nation can advance itself in the absence of an evolving, improving civil infrastructure. Kia ora tātou katoa.
Mr. Speaker. I call the Honourable Minister Simon Bridges.
Mr. Speaker, it's a real